Qu'est-ce qui se passe à tout le monde? I go by the name of Kari, and I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on Sneaker Phetish. We've been seeing this back and forth lately between the two largest sneaker brands out here, Adidas and Nike, when it comes to their designer collaborations. We recently just got looks of the Nike and Louis Vuitton Air Force One collaboration by Virgil Abloh, and then we also just recently got the Adidas and Gucci collaboration. But today, we're taking a look at the latest designer collaboration from a little lesser known designer, and if you guys aren't familiar, hopefully his story will inspire you and it'll actually make the sneaker that much more special. Without further ado, let's get into it. Boom. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Nike Air Humara by JACQUEMUS. First things first, I apologize if my French is not that great, but I'm gonna do my best to pronounce all of the French things that I have to pronounce today. Hopefully it's not that much. But first impressions of the sneaker, absolutely beautiful. I really like the take on this sneaker. Now, as you may or may not know, this sneaker is actually dropping in September via the sneakers app, but released a little bit early via the JACQUEMUS website himself, which is where I was able to get this pair from. This colorway actually being the light bone gold and sail colorway. While we're at it, let's take a quick look at the special packaging that came with this sneaker here. Now, first things first, JACQUEMUS, we're gonna talk a little bit about the history of JACQUEMUS and who he is, where he comes from, but the aesthetic of the brand is minimalism. So you guys are gonna see this kind of minimalist box here, small swoosh on the lid of the box. The small swoosh is all throughout the sneaker. We also get JACQUEMUS on the back of the box as well. And honestly, on the front of the box, that's pretty much it. We also get a little bit of special paper, that kind of transparent JACQUEMUS co-branded Nike swoosh paper inside of the sneaker box, but that's honestly pretty much it. This has actually been one of my favorite stories of 2022 when it comes to collaborations in the sneaker world, and for a few reasons. Number one, this really speaks to what happens when you believe in yourself, and this really speaks to turning your pain into passion, which can later turn into success, which is all the story of Simon Porte JACQUEMUS. Let's get a little bit into his history. Simon Porte JACQUEMUS, a 30-year-old young designer based out of France, originally from South France. He grew up with his mother, whom he really adored, had a very close relationship with, and always had dreams of pursuing fashion. As a matter of fact, one of his best memories was actually making his mother a skirt out of a curtain inside of their home, and his mom actually wore it one day when picking him up from school. Unfortunately, Simon's mother actually passed away in a car accident very shortly after he moved away over to Paris to pursue his fashion even more. With that devastating tragedy, Simon actually ended up moving back home to pursue his dream more so, but to get back home, back a little bit more to his roots. While he was back at home, he actually wound up in a flea market one day and came across a seamstress whom he actually asked if the seamstress could help him create another skirt similar to the one that he created for his mother back when he was much younger. That actually became one of the first pieces in what would end up becoming the label JACQUEMUS, which is homage not only to his mother's maiden name, but also to his last name as well. His story gets better. He went on to work at Comme des Garçons, CDG for short, and he ended up making a lot of connections with the owners of the brand. The owner of the brand actually, if you may or may not know, was running not just CDG, but also was running DSM, Dover Street Market. When they saw what Simon could do, they actually ended up putting some of his clothing inside of some DSM stores as well to really start getting his brand off the ground. Now, another way that he was able to get his brand off the ground was that he actually was using Tumblr, which was like social media kind of before social media as we know it. Tumblr was really the place where a lot of people put photos of whatever they were doing. Simon was putting pictures of his clothing, all of his designs on Tumblr, and it was getting a lot of attention. He actually worked with his brother Felix to end up making out his own website where he was able to start selling his own clothing as well. So he was really getting it out the mud, but he had a lot of talent. That talent ended up being beneficial for him because he ended up being nominated for a very prestigious award that's very difficult to get nominated for, that's sponsored by LVMH. Now, that's the fashion house over Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy. A lot of different brands are housed under LVMH. A lot of very popular, very expensive designer brands. Now, this was back in 2015. This prize was a really big deal. Not only did you get a lot of money to get your business really off the ground and going, but they also provided you with support in marketing, distribution, so many other things to get your fashion house off the ground. As a matter of fact, one of the other 8 finalists back in 2015 for that LVMH prize was none other than Mr. Virgil Abloh. Neither one of them actually ended up winning the prize. However, there was a special prize that they had just introduced that year, 2015, that was awarded to Simon JACQUEMUS, which later became the Karl Lagerfeld Award. It didn't give as much money, but it did still provide him with a good amount of money and with the support that he needed to get his brand off the ground, even though he didn't win first place. That was pretty much all that he needed. With that backing, with that support, and with that mentorship that he got, his brand ended up really going off, and he's come up with some of the most incredible designs. He's been in business for quite some time now, and JACQUEMUS, if you're in the fashion world, if you're in the world of high designer and high fashion, you know the name JACQUEMUS. One of his most standout pieces is actually a small bag that's called the La Chiquita, the Lo Chiquito, I believe. That's the name of the bag. It's a small bag. There's also a grand option or a grande option. He also makes another bag called the Bambino. So some of those bags have actually been seen on the arms of some of the most high profile people out there. People like Hailey Bieber, Kylie Jenner, Rihanna, people like that. So JACQUEMUS is a big deal in the fashion world and continues to only get bigger as his shows get bigger. His 10th anniversary show, which was in a huge lavender field, his first co-ed show, was a big deal. You can look up the lavender show under JACQUEMUS, and a lot of people were extremely excited about that show. However, for his most recent show, he had the La Papier show, or the La Paper show, if that translates correctly, which also featured his brand new collaboration collection with Nike. Now, JACQUEMUS says that the Nike Air Humara is actually his favorite Nike sneaker. Now, it just so happens to coincide with the fact that ACG has been making a prominent resurgence this year, and we've seen other sneakers like the Travis Scott Air Max 1 that paid homage to the ACG pocket knife. We've also seen ACG models really take off in 2022, so this is right in line with the fact that all these other ACG models have been coming up lately. This is a really cool design and a really different take. I'll talk a little bit more about some of the criticism that he's gotten about this shoe after we take a little deeper look, but the collaboration also included a lot of apparel, some unisex, some women's specific apparel. But enough about that. We'll get into a little bit more later on. That's the history about JACQUEMUS and how we got to be who he is now. Let's take a little deeper look at the shoe. All right, starting with the upper of the shoe here. Now, this is a classic Nike Air Humara. We haven't really seen a Humara like this, especially a collaborative Humara, since we got the Supreme Humara back in 2017. They did some crazy colors. This time, it's totally muted, very, very minimalist, with some elevated materials here. You guys will notice, first of all, on kind of this half circle on the quarter panel of the shoe here on both the lateral and medial side, you get this really nice nappy suede material. Premium feeling stuff. It's really nice. Now, in the quarter panels of the shoe, this is synthetic leather. It feels decent, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not the best leather in the world. It doesn't fold in, it's not real tumbled or nothing like that. It's just a pretty straightforward leather. Now, you also are gonna get a little embellishment on the lateral and medial side with the tiny gold swoosh. Again, just like on the shoebox, the tiny swoosh is a minimal swoosh in that minimalist kind of aesthetic, not only in the sneaker, but in the collection as well. A lot of the apparel also features little tiny gold swooshes where the hooks and the locks would go on the clothing as well. Now, in the Humara form, it is dumbed down just a little bit, but you do still have that single strap around the heel of the shoe, and again, that single strap up by the eyelets of the sneaker as well, in that really nice brown color. Of course, as you guys may know by now, there are two different colors of this sneaker. You have this lighter color, and then you have more of a darker kind of chocolate brown color as well that really kind of coincides with the color of these little straps here. I'm just kind of like those lighter tones a little bit, so this sneaker actually is the better of the two to me. That's just me. Taking a top down look at the shoe here, classic Nike Air Humara silhouette here, but let's talk a little bit about the laces. The lace tips, really nice touch here. You don't get a typical lace tip like you would normally see with the regular plastic or even with the metal. This time you get this really nice leather wrapped swoosh lace tip here. A little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, but it has this really nice cream colored leather with that brown swoosh inside of it, wrapped in that brown leather stitched on. It's really nice, a nice premium touch here for the lace tips. Speaking of leather, you're also gonna get that leather with the embossed JACQUEMUS branding on the tongue as well. Moving around to the heel of the shoe, you're also gonna get that JACQUEMUS branding on the heel tab of the shoe as well inside of that leather. Moving back around to the midsole here, kind of got a two-tone midsole here, this sail colored midsole, really nice with that really nice kind of cream colored toe box here as well. So they did a great job on the colors again. Let's talk a little bit about the outsole. Now again, this is an ACG model, a hiking model, almost like a hiking boot. So you're gonna get those really nice ridges on both the left and right side outside of the foot here, right in the middle of the outsole here. You also are gonna get the Nike swoosh on the heel of the right shoe. However, on the heel of the left shoe, you're actually going to get the JACQUEMUS branding as well. So when you step into the sand, as he's shown on his social media platforms and things like that, if you're hiking, whatever, you're actually going to get the JACQUEMUS branding when you step with the left foot. Very nice. And last but not least, on the insole here, cream colored insole with that chocolate brown swoosh and co-branded JACQUEMUS branding on the heel. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the Nike Air Humara by Nike and JACQUEMUS. Now, again, whoever's watching this, thank you for watching, first of all, because I know this is not the most popular, the most hyped up sneaker, especially for the people that are typically watching sneaker YouTube. But these sneakers are still super special, especially for the fashion world. And this is the thing that I want to, this is the point that I really want to drive home, first of all, about these sneakers. Everything is not for everybody out here. I know a lot of people look at sneakers and they feel like, are these specifically for me? Do I specifically like them? Do I specifically not like them? What is it about me? And we tend to kind of feel very entitled in sneakers, like everything has to be specifically for us. What Nike has been doing this year is some incredible collaborative products from all over the spectrum, from streetwear to fashion to high fashion to straight designer stuff to in-house designers, external designers, everybody. Like, Nike has really been doing their best this year to make something for everybody. And not only have they been doing, in my opinion, a great job of that, but to also give somebody like JACQUEMUS a huge look like this, a first collaboration of this magnitude with a juggernaut of a brand like Nike. This is huge for the fashion house for JACQUEMUS. This is a big deal. Now, with that being said, it's kind of funny because some of the fashion snobs I've been noticing have been saying that this is not really in line with JACQUEMUS's ethos, with kind of the atmosphere of who and what his fashion has been in the past. They've said that his fashion has been a lot more whimsical, a lot more traditional, really nice flowy dresses and things like that. And now he's coming out with this hiking trail boot here that nobody really understood why he took the tone that he took with these. But here's the thing about it. That's the beautiful thing about fashion. You can transition and you can be different things at different times. Every single time we look at Paris Fashion Week, if you guys watch any of those fashion shows, every single season they're coming out with a new aesthetic and a new theme. And so the theme for this year being La Papier or Le Paper, however you want to say it, is more of this minimalist kind of vibe here. It took place in what looked like a desert. So the shoes and a lot of the clothing really seemed very on brand with the whole theme of the show itself. So to me, this makes sense for a little bit more casual, a little bit more relatable, a little bit more urban, rugged type of look that he wanted to do this year. So again, kudos to JACQUEMUS. I feel like they kind of knocked this one out of the park, him and Nike. Not only that, but JACQUEMUS's stuff is also not cheap. So what Nike has been doing in some ways, this is kind of my last point here, is they've been making what used to be inaccessible a lot more accessible, be it from a high fashion designer or somebody like Nina Chanel Abney, somebody who was a world-renowned artist that we normally wouldn't have been able to buy any of her paintings, but now because of her upcoming Air Jordan 2, we're able to take some of that art home with us and have it in our collections. And I think that's a dope thing that Nike has been doing lately, as opposed to like an Adidas Gucci collaboration where all the stuff is Gucci pricing. I think Nike is getting a little bit smarter and they're doing high fashion design stuff like the Dior Air Jordan 1, but they're also doing more accessible, more price sensitive, high fashion designer stuff as well, like the JACQUEMUS collaboration. There's a little bit of something for everybody out here. And if you've been a fan of the JACQUEMUS brand for quite some time now, these are definitely going to be sneakers that you're going to want in your collection. These to me are a home run. But again, that's because you have to appreciate the sneaker for what it is and for who it is. This is an incredible chapter in the story of JACQUEMUS, somebody who literally got his fashion house out of the mud and is still continuing to grind it out. This is really dope if you're a fan of the label, if you're a fan of the brand, if you're a fan of his personal story, or if you're a fan of the Humara. There may be people that really want to rock these just because they look dope outside of the collaboration, and that's okay too. But for what it is, for who it's for, as far as I'm concerned, these are a win. All right, that's pretty much all that I got to say about these. Now it's time for you guys to sound off down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the Nike and JACQUEMUS Air Humara. Are these on your must-cop list? Are you looking to pick these up? Are you not really feeling these at all? Are these really not what you're checking for? You're looking for something else? It's all good. Whatever it is that you're feeling about these sneakers, sound out below. Let me know. Of course, right down in the comments, make sure that you click on that subscribe button so we can welcome you into the Sneaker Fetish family to make sure you don't miss out on any more heat that comes through like these, because I guarantee you, I got a lot more heat on the way. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on Sneaker Phetish, taking a look at these with me, unboxing them with me for a couple of minutes. I go by the name of Kari. This is the Nike Air Humara by JACQUEMUS. And until next time, I'm out.